Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and this video in my year-long series of themed flower pot layered SVGs. There are 2 flower pots left of the series, including the one you're about to see today. And today's project is this beautiful Hanukkah inspired flower pot in lovely shades of white, blue, yellow and gold. It looks beautiful when cut at a large size to go in a frame, but it also cuts beautifully at a smaller size for a greetings card too. Whichever one you decide to make, it's easy to put together, easy to cut, and a really fun project to make. This is a free SVG available at craftwithsarah.com. Here is exactly how to find it, and then we'll see how to put together this lovely project. Let's get started. You can find the free files to make this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs, or click the link in the description of this video to go to the tutorial where you can download straight from that page. You'll need to register a free account on my website in order to download any of the designs. The download comes in a zip folder. Before you can get the files into your cutting machine software, you'll need to unzip that folder. Visit craftwithsarah.com/help for instructions on how to do that, as well as a wide range of other tutorials on how to use your Cricut, Silhouette, or ScanNCut machine. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project by pressing New Project and then Blank Canvas. You can close out the window on the left by clicking the arrow about halfway down the page. Go into Upload and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and if you're using a Cricut machine, look in the 01 Cricut version folder. There's one file in here which starts SVG-01 in the file name. Click and drag that in and it should look like this. Press Continue. You don't need to change anything on the screen, just press Upload. That will insert the flower pot onto your canvas. Once again, close out the window on the left, and then you'll be able to see the flower pot. It loads in at a nice size to cut, which is 6 inches wide and 6.6 inches tall, but you can make it larger or smaller if you wish. To resize, first make sure the padlock icon between the width and the height box is closed. If yours is open, then click it to close it. Then you can type either the width or the height, press Enter on your keyboard, and the other measurement will change in proportion. If you're going to be putting this into a specific frame or onto a greetings card, you might want to build up some extra layers in Design Space so that you know you've definitely got everything sized perfectly. I have separate videos on how to do that at craftwithsarah.com/help. I'll be cutting this twice, once to go in a shadow box and once for a greetings card, so let's have a little look at my projects. This is what my design looks like for the shadow box. My frame is 9 by 9 inches, so that's the size of my largest square. I'll then cut another square from gold and then one from pattern paper. To remind myself on this project, I've added some text here and changed it to a guide in the operations drop-down so that I can have some text here to remind me to cut it from pattern paper. If you turn text into a guide, it means it won't be cut out with the machine, you just see it on the screen as a little bit of a helpful reminder. My flower pot for this version is 7 inches wide and 7.7 inches tall. Here's what my greetings card design looks like. This will make a 5 by 7 inch card when it's made, so my base rectangle here is 10 by 7, so that half of 10 once it's folded in half will be 5. Once again, I've added some extra rectangles for a little bit of visual interest on the front, and I've added a little oval in here to make it look like the flower pot is sitting on the floor. My flower pot for this design is 4.75 inches wide and just under 5¼ inches tall. When you're ready to cut your project, press Make over on the top right of the screen, and that will separate out all of the different colours. You can change the paper size in the drop-down on the left, and you would need to do that for each colour individually. You can drag and drop to move things around on the paper, which can be helpful for taking up less space on your cardstock. This project is great for using up some of your scraps left over from older projects because for a lot of it, you only need a little bit of the particular colour. For example, for this gold, if I had a little bit of gold left over that was maybe a bit of an awkward shape, I could put that on my Cricut mat and then have a look at it and then move these things about on the screen to match where my cardstock is. That way I don't have to cut into a brand new sheet. I can use up my scraps, which is always good because I always have piles and piles of scraps. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue to connect to your Cricut machine and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from cardstock. If you're new to cutting cardstock with your Cricut machine, head to craftwithsarah.com/help. Choose Cricut from the list of machine options, and there are separate videos in there on how to cut cardstock on all of the different types of Cricut machine. There are also videos in there for Silhouette and ScanNCut machines too. Here are all of the layers of my flower pot cut out, and I've laid them all on top of each other, following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder to check that I'm happy with all the colours and that I haven't lost any of the bits along the way. Now, one thing I will say is I've already glued on the yellow bits on all of these white flowers because I was really worried about losing them because they're very small. So those ones are glued, but everything else I'll show you in this video. We'll be putting this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Burley Art Glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these glues is because they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. To give dimension, we'll use some foam squares. The ones that I'm using are from Dot and Dab, but any will do. These ones are 5x5mm and 2mm thick. Yours can be thicker or thinner, it's up to you, but if they're too much bigger, you may need to cut them smaller with scissors to fit inside some of the smaller shapes. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and work upwards, so I'll move some of these pieces away. Try and keep them vaguely in the right order though, seeing as we've gone to all the effort already. Okay, so move these away until you've got the bottom two pieces, which is this one, and then the darker flowers and leaves to go on top. And this one will be done with foam squares. So we'll turn it over and add the foam to the back. Try and get your foam pieces in all of the sticky out areas. You may need to cut them smaller if they don't fit. You don't want any of the foam to go out over the edges, otherwise you'll be able to see it from the front on the final design, which we don't want. And these ones are quite small anyway, which is helpful. There are lots of sticky out bits on this particular flower pot design. That's all of my foam squares on there, and you'll notice that as well as going around the edges, I've also put quite a few in this middle section here. It's important to put your foam squares in all of the large areas of card because otherwise there's nothing to hold it stable and flat. So you might find that the cardstock kind of bends downwards like that rather than being flat. And flat is what we want to give the overall dimensional appearance. Now that I've got all of those on, I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Bring in the base layer. I'm going to line this up and then gently drop it down. The reason for gently dropping it is that if you're not quite happy with how it's all lined up, you can pick it up and move it again because it won't have quite stuck. Gentle drop, then have a little look. Check it's lined up as you want it. If it's not, you can pick it up and move it quite easily without damaging anything. But I am happy with that, so I'll push down to get all the foam stuck. Next up is the green layer, and this time we're going to glue this. Next up is this one, also to glue. Next up, you can either build the flower pot or you can add the flowers. I'm going to do the flowers, and because these pieces are quite small, I'm going to add the foam squares directly onto the design. I find that a little bit easier than trying to hold the back of all the tiny pieces, but it's up to you which way around you prefer to do it. You may need to cut your foam squares smaller. We've got the big one as well. Don't go into any of these ones along the ridge, as those have got a few more layers on before those flowers will be stuck on. And a teeny tiny one there. Okay, now we can stick all the flowers on top. You might need to turn them around a little bit until you get them all exactly lined up. Remember, I've already glued my middle bits on in the yellow. That one, I think. Yeah. And last of the white ones. That one, and then the teeny tiny one, the bottom layer of that is the yellow. So that's where we're looking. And then for the middle of this one, this has got 2 more pieces to go. I'm going to go with a foam square for the next one, which is the lighter blue. It doesn't matter too much where you put it. And then for the dark blue in the middle, tiny little dab of glue on there. And then that one on top. And for this flower, at the top of this one, I'm going to add a dab, tiny little bit of glue to all of those petals, but nothing in the middle, because the middle of that yellow is the bit we're going to see. If you look at this bit that's going on top, it's got the hole in the middle for the yellow to show through. There we go. So that's those flowers done. Now we can move on to the flower pot. First up, we've got the main pot itself to glue on. I've used a shimmery card for this one. Not quite sure if it's supposed to be black or really dark blue. I'm hoping it's blue because that's how the design is going, but either way, it looks very pretty, so we're going to stick with it. Not sure if you can see the shimmer a little bit. There we go. All right, next up is the rim of the flower pot, which we'll do with foam squares. Again, I've gone for shiny card on this one. A nice subtle gold glitter. And this is nice glitter card because the glitter does not come off. Line it up, making sure all those petals of the flowers get lined up nicely. Down. And push when you're happy. And then a foam square for these flowers too. Again, you can put them on the back if you prefer. These ones are very small. I think I'm going to have to cut my foam squares smaller for them. They're quite easy to cut. Just go down them with a pair of scissors to cut them in half. If you can't get your foam small enough for these, then glue them on instead. Okay, first up, we've got the yellow. These 2 flowers are kind of joined together. And then we've got another one with them joined together that looks like this. The bigger one's on the right, this one. Then the teeny tiny flower next, there, and then the big one, the single one, all on its own. There we go, so all yellow at this point, and then we'll add the colours on top. So once again, I'm going to glue in the petals, just a tiny little dot, because it's the middle of the yellows that we'll see once everything else is on there. So this one, we've got that blue, because this one will be built up separately. And then blue for that one. White for the 2 that are joined together. And the very dark blue for the tiny one. That was really hard to put on. And then this one here, glue for the next bit of yellow. This one. Oops. Did that badly. There we go. And then once again, a little dab in the petals for the final piece. There. Then lastly, we've got the star to glue on the bottom. And there we have it. That's our Hanukkah flower pot, all finished and looking beautiful. Now I've cut this one quite big because it's going to go in a shadow box frame, but if you want to make one smaller to go on a greetings card or for another type of craft, then the design does cut really nicely at a small size too. I've gone very extra with that mirror card. I knew what I meant. That's very shiny. And this was a little tricky with these tiny flowers, and the yellow bits in the middle were even smaller. But it still cut really, really nicely, and it was fine to glue it. So I'm going to go and finish up my designs, and then we'll take a look at them once they're framed and on my card. Here is my shadow box, all in the frame. And I used the same kind of blue as this colour for my very background, and the same goldy colour I've got here. And then I had this pretty kind of glitter photograph paper in one of my scrapbook packs. I've had this for years and years and years and never known what to use it for, but I think it looks really pretty just to give a subtle bit of background to the flower pot on there. And then for the greetings card, I built up some layers in Design Space, including a little oval here to make it look like the pot is balanced. And that is how that looks, with an extra bit of mirror card for some more shine around the edge. So there we go. That is my Hanukkah flower pot all finished. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make this beautiful Hanukkah flower pot Cricut craft. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. We'll be back very soon with the last flower pot of this series, which will be a New Year themed flower pot. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!